Hello and welcome to Bay 1. This is Jafal Maraxi bringing you a Robocraft patch overview for the Aerorods update. Aerorods. What are the big features in here? Well, probably the first one is going to be the actual Aerorod things, which are designed to replace existing cubes like these things, and let's go and unlock them and see what it's all about. So we go to the tech tree, we've got lots of different types. So they're an extension to thrusters, which is interesting in terms of the placement. So from tier 5 thruster, you can then unlock the tier 5 Aerorod, which is 13 5 tech. So let's go and unlock that. And all of the other ones are 13, so it's going to cost you a total of 39 tech points at tier 5. No, I lie. So these are the shorter ones, so these are 13. The longer one is 16 tech points, even though it's still a tier 5. That's interesting. So it's going to cost you, what, do the math, 42 tech points to actually unlock all of these at tier 5, so let's go ahead and unlock this one. And then we go for the tier 6s, 16, 16 and 21, so what is that? That's 32, 53. And then 20, 20, 26, so 40, 66. For tier 7, 25, 25 and 32, so that's 82. Doesn't seem quite the same kind of tech point scaling as other items. 31, 31 and 39, so 101. And that's really not that high. 35, 35 and 44, so just over 100 and whatever. Okay. I was expecting them to be a little bit more. But anyway, to explain what these are little 3-block long rods, and they take up the same amount of CPU as the equivalent in 3 blocks. So you'll find for 3 blocks it's still 3 CPU. The robot ranking is about equivalent with 3 equivalent tier blocks, although based on my calculations the robot ranking is a little bit lower. In terms of health, they've got about 1.5 times the amount of health of a single block, but yeah, 3 blocks is still going to have more armor. The mass though is a lot lower, so 3 blocks would be 15 kilograms. This entire thing is only 2 kilograms, so you could get 2 of these in there for redundancy and armoring and stuff, and it might be a little bit more effective. Whereas these ones, 5 P-flops, robot ranking, is still going to be a little bit lower than the equivalent number of blocks. Heal rate is still up there, mass 3.3 kilograms, so it's roughly weighted to be, where it should be. So, and of course the mass goes up with tiers as everything else does as well. But yeah, so that's the actual rods. The next step is actually going to be buying all of them. Let's just make sure there's nothing else on the tech tree. Nope, see nothing. So I don't have enough CPU to actually, or RP to buy the higher tier ones, which means I'm going to have to do some higher tier gaming. I've been messing around with doing lower tier tutorials. So they should show up where? Under the chassis section. So let's start with the lower tier ones. We don't really need to unlock the bigger ones, but oh, I see. So tier 5s have the pink ends. So when you go up to the tier 5 cubes, these are pink. So they're color matched to actually go with the equivalent tier items. Come on. Let's just get 4 of each. There we go. Buy those. And now let's go to the inventory and find where they were again. So you can't do anything other than, I mean, you can rotate them, but you can't really do anything other than that. Let's go and grab the other ones. So we've got the curved ones. And then you've got the longer ones, which these are 5 blocks long. So yeah, it's going to make a lot more options in terms of robot designs, what you can do. I mean, I can even see people using these as some form of shielding, like wrapping around items instead of using blocks, because yeah, the hitboxes are going to be a little bit more amenable. Well, I don't know about the hitboxes. We'll actually see what we can do on that front. Let's take off, yeah. I can easily see someone trying to make an architectural type design, a castle or some sort of thing using these. But yeah, in terms of practical usage, we don't know yet. They're definitely going to help out for flyer designs or other lower weight vehicle classes and thrusters and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's interesting. And sorry, my monitor is not bringing up the chat, which is really annoying. So if anyone's trying to chat, I'm missing it. What other changes have been made? Balance changes. They've made a lot of changes to robot ranking, which is good and bad. It's good in that it helps to balance the game a lot. Anything essentially like a tier. Let's go actually to one of these bays here. If I grab a tier 6 weapon and put it down in the bay, where we go. My robot is not quite automatically tier 6, but if I put another one down, there you go, 2 of those is automatically tier 6. If I grab a tier 6 plasma or a rail, you'll see pretty much, again, almost tier 6. But it's pretty much weighted to the point where you'll be able to get a single weapon into a lower tier, but any more than that, and it's just not going to happen. So with tier 3, you're not going to do that. Tier 6 is probably the exception in terms of the over-under tiering things. If I get a tier 4, automatically to tier 4, tier 5, automatically to tier 5, and so on. And let's just check the same thing with electroplates. Tier 4 electroplate doesn't quite put you into tier 4, but 2 of those automatically put you into tier 4. So it does make a lot of difference in terms of robot rankings. Pretty much everyone's bots are going to be affected. You're probably going to end up being over tiered unless you've got a very lightweight design. Like this one. This is supposed to be a tier 7, and I only built this yesterday in the stream, and it's a tier 8. I've already taken a load of stuff off, but it's still a tier 8, and it's frustrating because I thought I was designing it yesterday with in mind that it would be somewhat still usable. This was a tier, supposed to be a tier 4 tank, and it had pretty much all tier 4 armor. And I've just had to downgrade it to tier 3 so that it can actually still stay in tier 4. Yeah, that thing doesn't count. Do I have any other designs going back here that we can actually take a look at? Yeah, there's a few other things. This is supposed to be a tier 3. That was a tier 1 flyer, now it's a tier 2 because it's got tier 2 thrusters. No Megabot. Megabot lag. There we go. Come on. What's in that one? This is supposed to be, I think this is actually still a tier 6. I can't remember if this was a tier 5 or tier 6. I think that's still accurate. This is a tier, was a tier 3, but now it's a tier 4. That's still the same. This was a tier 1 and now it's definitely a tier 2. I need to take those guns off and see if it drops back down to a tier 1. This was a tier 3 and now it's definitely a tier 4. This was a tier 5 and now it's a tier 6, which sucks balls a lot. Again, yeah, I only pretty much only just built that, and now I'm going to have to try and rebuild it again. This is supposed to be a tier 4 or a tier 3 or something. Yep. Yeah, it's a tier 3, and now it's a tier 5? What the hell? I mean, seriously, free jam. That's kind of a lot. Mind you, actually, with this one, that's fairly expected because the guns on the sides are tier 5s and I was making use of over-tiering, so actually that one I can accept. But anyway, so you can see you're pretty much going to have to go through, if you've got any number of bots, go through all of them and readjust them so that they're back down to tier. Yeah, everything is higher tier because they did some balance changes. The wording is, we have made some large-scale changes to robot ranking that will prevent you from bringing higher tier weapons into tier 1 to 5 games. Except it's pretty much screwed up all of my bots. But that's not a problem. I don't use over-tiering or tier plus items usually in lower tiers because I think it's unfair. But a lot of my bots are relatively high CPU, so they've impacted it. New accounts will have 3 new starter robots replacing the previous ones. That one I cannot show you at the moment because I'd actually have to create a new account and I don't have one. Curved versions of the heavy, light and glass cubes can now be purchased. Yay! But the question is, are they anywhere on the tech tree? No, they're not. In the cube depot, let's go and have a look. Okay, so yeah, we've got the curved versions of those cubes. That's cool. Good stuff. Robots from the RoboShop now get premium have had some changes made to them. Really not going to be able to tell what those are without going through a lot of design and analysis. They probably improve the designs overall because quite honestly most of the RoboShop robots were kind of weak. And the biggest one is so you can't over tier with those lower tier robots as well, and that's one of the biggest reasons for making changes. Bug fixes: fixed the bug with the mass of TX rounded cubes, cool. Fixed the major bug which had some base crystals invulnerable, cool. And fixed the bug which was causing frame rate drops when attacking tower and base crystals, again, cool. So yeah, overall that is pretty good. If you're T9 using tier 10 plasmas, well, let's see how many tier 10 plasmas you need to over tier. So let's go, I don't have enough tier 10 plasmas. Let's use tier 10 nanos. So I've got 1 tier 10 nano here. That takes me up to tier 7. 2 takes me up to tier 8. So it doesn't affect you so much for higher tier stuff. Let's use SMGs. Something actually... Oh, Rouse will be the best one. So Rouse. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, I can actually put 7 tier 10 Rouse down and still be tier 9. If you want to try and build a frame on that. So over tiering for anything above tier 6 is still possible. It just gets less effective the higher tier you go. So with tier 6, if I buy tier 6 or tier 7 items, come on, where's all my tier 7 stuff? Here we go, I've got loads of nanos. So actually let's do it in multiples. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, see, I can have 8 tier 7 nanos and still stay in tier 6. So as soon as you get outside of that range, then you can no longer do the over-tiering E-type stuff or under-tiering. Well, you can do the over-tiering stuff, but yeah, hopefully I'm making sense, whatever. Yeah, so it doesn't affect you so much at higher tiers, but it definitely has a huge impact on the lower tiers. Pretty much I'm going to have to rebuild all of my low tier bots, and the series of videos I was doing with the low tier designs, I'm going to have to redo them because they're no longer viable. But either way, yes. Yeah, I'm going to be back in a few minutes to do something, which is actually do buildy type things and build with the Aerorods and all that kind of stuff. But I have to cut the patch overview short here, and yes, I'll be back. We'll do some building things and see how it actually impacts the game and what you can do. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. It's probably going to be about 10 or 15 minutes because I've got to sort some food out. And yeah, next will be building things.